Hi there, I the Predator here with another deck review, or deck profile, as it should be titled.
And Fluffy is helping.
And Fluffy is the cameraman. Well, the bad man behind the camera.
Just remember, I'm between damn and oh hell no.
And this is an Ancient Gear deck review or deck profile. This is my current build for Ancient Gears, and a lot of you have seen like me posting videos about like Exodia and whatnot, and people are thinking like, well, Exodia is my favorite deck. I like the deck. I wouldn't consider that my favorite deck. My favorite deck is Ancient Gears, but my favorite summoning condition is Synchros. So, but this has nothing to do with Synchros. It's all fusion mumbo jumbo and whatnot. So let's get into it. Going through the main deck. We run 3 copies of Ancient Gear Hound, a Hunting Hound. I put it a little bit too. Ancient Gear Hunting Hound. Upon normal summon, inflict 600 burn, and then uses other effect special to use materials from your hand or field to go into an Ancient Gear fusion monster. He's pretty much a poly on legs.
Kind of like my former pal Dissolver.
Oh yeah. If you guys seen the Odd Eyes deck review, you probably are wondering the same thing about Hunting Hound. The 600 burn damage pretty much is supposed to make the OTK a lot easier.
Yeah.
And he's a level 3. If you do plan on running a rank 3, I'd recommend running Leviair.
I run Leviair on my Phantom Knights, which is a deck that we should do a profile on.
Oh yeah, definitely. One level 4 called Ancient Gear Box. I seen builds running 2 copies of these, and one crazy build running 3 of these. Now, I only run 1 because I don't want to brick. He's a pretty good searcher. Once you search him with another Ancient Gear card I'll get into later, or actually, I think there might be a few other Ancient Gear cards that might search him. Maybe. I'm not sure. I'm not entirely sure. I haven't played this deck in over like 2 years. But this is a pretty good searcher. It's also a generic searcher, so if you actually feel like it, you could actually search any other monster. So he's a pretty good option. I also have Summoner Monk. Summoner Monk, I could dump a spell card from my hand. Special summon a level 4, which would probably be another Ancient Gear monster that I'll get into later. He's pretty good for this deck, let me tell you. He's also good for rank 4 fodder. Now for the gadgets. Gold and silver gadget, pretty self-explanatory. They're basically free link material. I absolutely love these guys. I've seen builds running 2 copies of each of these, but I only run 1 copy of each, mostly because I'm trying to go for the fusions and not for the links. And they're also good rank 4 fodder. Next, I run 2 copies of the Ancient Gear gadgets. I use him for fusion material. His effect isn't really all that amazing. However, if you do end up going in for a tribute summon for like another Ancient Gear monster that I'll mention later, it acts as both Ancient Gear and a gadget, so it will gain both effects. And
which is very, very useful.
And it's another rank 4 target. And then finally 2 copies of Ancient Gear Frame. Now, I only run 2 copies of this just so I can add Ancient Gear Golem or Ancient Gear Golem Ultimate Pound. I think I can add an Ancient Gear Golem Ultimate Pound. No, I cannot. I can only add an Ancient Gear Golem with this card. But other than that, it's good discard fodder. You could send a catapult to the graveyard so that way you could use that effect to destroy one of your own cards, special summon a token, continue on with plays. It's also another target for rank 4s. Now, 3 Ancient Gear Wyverns. Pretty darn good searcher. Upon normal or special summon, you can add any Ancient Gear card from your deck to your hand, but you cannot set for that turn. Now, you don't tend to set cards with this deck. You really don't tend to set any cards. If you're setting cards, most likely they're going to be traps to disrupt the opponent or to give you some card advantage with Ancient Gears. Maybe. His effect is really good. Good rank 4 fodder, and it's pretty good overall in attack points. 1 copy of Ancient Gear Golem. I only run 1 copy. He's a pretty good beat stick. He can't be special summoned, which is pretty darn ridiculous. If you ask me. He's not really that overpowered, really.
I think the time when they made him, they felt, because he has piercing battle damage ability, made him a little too much, so they made it where he can't be special summoned from the graveyard.
And I've seen some builds that are focused around Ancient Gear Golem himself that are they're actually running 3 copies of this.
Yeah.
But however, I'm not focused on the Ancient Gear Golem fusions. I'm focused on the Ancient Gear fusions themselves.
Yeah.
So I only run 1 copy of this. The one thing that I do run 3 copies of is Ancient Gear Golem Ultimate Pound. Now, he's a pretty good field clearer in the form of actually beating down.
Yeah.
I can discard machine type monsters from my hand. It's super generic when it comes to discarding. When it dies, I can add one other ancient gear monster from my graveyard, and 1 polymerization from my deck to my hand whenever it's destroyed. If this card on the field is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can add 1 polymerization from your deck to your hand, and if you do, add 1 other Ancient Gear monster from your graveyard to your hand. So it's pretty good recovery, and it searches poly. You're going to find out real quick that I don't run poly in this deck, but I run him for discard fodder, and as well as him being a really good beat stick. And then the 2 copies of Ancient Gear Reactor Dragon. I've seen builds. My first build had 3 of these, but I ended up taking the 3rd one out because it became too inconsistent.
Yeah, and you already have a whole bunch of high level ones. So
yeah, if this were a level 8 and all the rest of them were level 8s, I could be running trade-in by now, but I'm not. However, this card is really good, even if you don't tribute summon it. Upon attacking, cards and effects cannot be activated, and then after the damage step, you target 1 card on the field and destroy it. No, target 1 spell or trap and destroy it. Pretty good, and it's also a good rank 9 fodder.
True kings of all calamity, yeah.
And now for the spells.
That would actually be pretty nasty. A true king of all calamities in an Ancient Gear deck.
I run 1 copy of Twin Twisters, 1 copy of Overload Fusion, 1 copy of Pot of Desires. Now, originally I was running 2 of these guys, but I ended up Well, with this deck, I ended up losing a lot with this card. Not saying that it's a bad option. I mean, it rips through your deck faster than a Chinese poo-poo platter, but...
You just don't want... Wait, what?
You never heard of that before?
No,
a
I
Chinese
haven't.
poo-poo platter? It's like a Chinese dish.
Oh, okay.
But it's like, I don't know what they put in it, but it's like, it's kind of like whenever you take laxatives. Laxatives making you, like, shit out easier.
Yeah.
It's, I think it has a lot of fiber in it.
Okay.
Maybe. I could be wrong, but...
Hello?
Overload Fusion,
Just give me 10 minutes doing a video.
Overload Fusion, basically allowing me to fusion summon a Dark Machine Fusion monster, which in my extra deck I'll get into later. Twin Twisters, discarding to target up to 2 spell and trap cards on the field. You, unlike my Endymions, you can really benefit with Twin Twisters in an Ancient Gear deck.
Mostly because of the Overload Fusion, because isn't that banished from the graveyard?
Well, yeah, Overload Fusion.
So,
The 2 copies of Ancient Gear Fortress, I used to run 3 of these guys, but now I don't. Pretty good protection on the turn that they are summoned, which kind of sucks, to be honest, because I wish it had just overall protection, and it also prevents the opponent from doing plays on your turn when you're doing plays. Also, if it's destroyed while in the spell and trap zone, I can special summon 1 Ancient Gear monster from my hand or graveyard, but I can only special summon Ancient Gear monsters for that turn. It's also searchable by Wyvern himself, so that's pretty good. I'm running 3 copies of Gear Town. Everybody knows Gear Town. Like, literally, everybody does. This card is absolutely amazing. You cannot go without it. Upon destruction, special summon 1 Ancient Gear monster from your hand, graveyard, or deck in whatever position. However, you cannot special summon Golem with this because Golem and Golem Ultimate Pound, they cannot be special summoned at all.
but I mean, you can get out the Reactor Dragon, right?
Yeah, you can get Reactor out with that effect. One thing that you can get out with Golem and Golem Ultimate Pound is the 3 copies of Catapult. While you control no monsters, you can target 1 card. You can target 1 face-up card on the field, destroy it, and if you do, special summon 1 Ancient Gear monster from your, I believe it's from the deck. From your deck, ignoring its summoning conditions. So you can get out Golem with this, and if you destroy Gear Town with this, that's 2 summons. Pretty good. Also, its graveyard effect allows you to banish it, destroy 1 card that you on your side of the field, and special summon an Ancient Gear token. Yeah, it's that bastard right here.
I just happened to look over when you said that, and I'm like, BAM!
And then the 3 copies of Power Bond. This is a complete OTK deck. I am not worried about my life points at all.
Unless somebody uses like something like Cyber Dragons or ABCs and they use Honest. It's like, oh, all those life points you had. Now they're bye-bye. Your life points you had. Bye-bye.
Oh, God. I run 3 power bonds. People could argue that running 2 power bonds and running 2 polys or Ancient Gear fusions would actually be pretty good. However, I don't have Ancient Gear fusion because it's too damn expensive. $30 for a single card. For a single Ancient Gear fusion. Are you crazy?
Yeah.
Also, this is not a budget build. And then the 1 trap card, Ancient Gear Reborn, basically an archetypal monster. Well, an archetypal Call of the Haunted, if you don't mind me saying. If you control no monsters, once per turn, you can target 1 Ancient Gear monster in your graveyard, special summon it, it gains 2 under attack. You can only control 1 Ancient Gear Reborn, which I'm only running 1 copy, so...
Plus, since you can only control 1, it kind of can be turned into a brick if you run more than 1.
Oh yeah, definitely. This is why I only run one. I've seen a lot of builds only running one of these. And some builds actually replacing this with a Monster Reborn if you want to turbo out. Now on to the extra deck. I run Mrs. Radiant and Clifford Genius. I tend to not go into these very often. Well, with the Master Rule 5 and whatnot, I tend to not go into these. Before Master Rule 5, I had to go into these.
Yeah, so far we actually been doing test games against a couple of different decks in Master Rule 5 just to see how it is. And I'm just saying, and also from what we've realized, Pendulum decks are not going to be dead. I mean, yeah, they're going to be a little stunned because you can't Pendulum someone like you used to before Master Rule 4, but you know what? You can spam all the other kinds of monsters, so it's not really slowing it down that much,
Yeah. Mrs. Radiant, basically a 500 attack point boost for all my monsters, which all my monsters are Earth. This gives an attack boost for all Earth monsters on the field, a 500 attack and defense point boost. Also, if it's destroyed and sent to the graveyard, I can add one Earth. I can add one Earth from my graveyard to back into my hand, which is mostly going to be a box, so I can search more.
Yeah.
Clifford Genius, basically an on-field negate.
Don't buy any cards.
And it's a good 1800 beat stick. Now, time for the rank 4s. I run Abyss Dweller, Silent Honor Arc, and Tornado Dragon. Now, you can pretty much see where I'm coming off of this. You want to say anything?
Ironically, 2 of these cards, because I don't know what the third one is, but the Tornado Dragon and the Abyss Dweller, my dinos run both of those. Just because, like I said in the other video, especially with Abyss Dweller, you play a game against Salmon Great and you play the Abyss Dweller, you'd be like, yeah, fuck y'all, freaking reborn monster effect from the graveyard. And then Tornado Dragon is like freaking mythical space typhoon on freaking legs. So it's like, oh, you got that? Oh, sorry, it's gone now. Especially if it's a face-up continuous. So. And
Silent Honor Arc, I basically detach 2 materials to target one special summon monster that the opponent controls and attach it to this card as material. Now, this is pretty good removal. I don't see a lot of builds running this, but I run it just for its funky effect.
Yeah.
And if I do pull it off, it's almost a guaranteed win.
See, my thing that does something similar to that doesn't equip it to it, as material, but my Big Eye and my Odd Eyes deck does a similar thing by getting rid of the problematic monster. So.
Tornado Dragon, I use it to destroy my own spell and trap cards just to get out big beaters.
Yeah.
And Abyss Dweller,
and if you think
just to say fuck you to a Burning Abyss.
And also, Tornado Dragon actually is a decent beat stick at 2100.
Oh, yeah.
He can take on a Cyber Dragon.
And now for Hope Harbinger. This rank 8 right here, I can deny spell and trap card. I can deny spells once per turn, not spell and traps. My mistake. And then attach it to this card as material.
Yeah.
And if I have another Xyz monster, say like Abyss Dweller and whatnot, I could actually use his full effect. And mind you, I am running a bunch of level 8s, so this is a pretty good option. And then you were saying about True King of All Calamities? Now,
you know what? I'm going to figure out. Actually, wait, I actually have cards in my collection that I can run True King dinos in my dino deck. I just gotta pick up 2 cards.
Now, this requires 2 or more level 9 monsters, which you could pretty much easily do this with generators.
Yeah.
Or anything that does rank 9 plays.
Let's just say my friend, one of the games that he played me against, because I remember in the last video we were talking about generators, he was able to get enough level 9s on board in one turn to get 3 of those guys out. Yeah, it was not pretty for me, but luckily I was using dinos, and the next turn I OTK'd his ass.
Now, here's a really good combination. Have Abyss Dweller on the field alongside True King of All Calamities. You pretty much control the game for the rest of that game. True King, a really good beat stick, a really good defender if you really want to try that out. A pretty good negator. You go up against Salamagrates with this, it's like, I don't care about your recursion. I'm negating your effects.
Yeah.
Now, time for the fusions. I run 3 copies of Howitzer. Now, he's a pretty good card. Basically, another Ancient Gear Fortress on legs. He's unaffected by card effects, and during the main phase, I can burn the opponent for 1,000 damage. That's once per turn. And if it's destroyed by battle, I can special summon an Ancient Gear monster from my deck, ignoring summoning conditions. Really good. But people tend to run only 2 of those. I run 1 copy of Ancient Gear Megaton Golem and 1 copy of Ultimate Ancient Gear Golem. This pretty much turns into a beat stick of using 2 or more Ancient Gear Golem or Ancient Gear Golem Ultimate Pounds. And if it leaves the field because of an opponent's card effect, I bring this guy out. He's pretty good. They're both pretty good. And now for the big man himself, Ancient Gear Chaos Giant. No, Chaos Ancient Gear Giant. I call him Ancient Gear Chaos Giant. Ugh. God damn. People tend to only run 2 of these, but I run 3 of these to distribute OTK potential. Now, while you can do it with only 2 of them, well, imagine one already gotten rid of, and you already got the second one, and this one was gotten rid of. You have no OTK potential.
Yeah. But also, you also should say that if you're going into your 3rd one, either your opponent has a lot of removal, or you're getting desperate sometimes. Sometimes. Because really, you shouldn't go into a 3rd. Just be honest. In my opinion. But sometimes having that 3rd, it's actually a benefit, because sometimes I feel like I need a 3rd Sabretooth in my Frankfurt deck, and I don't got it.
Also, it's a level 10. I don't run rank 10s in here. You can run rank 10s. There's actually a version out there that revolves around the archetypal Ancient Gear Link monster. And that's a pretty good card all by itself, searching out a Gear Town. Just to go into rank 10 plays. Now, time for the side deck. I run 3 Ghost Sister and 3 Ash Blossoms. These are my only 2 hand traps. This one to gain life points during the opponent's turn, and this just to deny searching.
Those aren't the only hand traps you run. You got Nibiru. That's a hand trap.
Well, it's a hand trap. Well, it's the only one that I have.
Well, yeah. I'm just saying, it counts as a hand trap.
Just to gain life points, just to negate searching and special summoning, and this just to fuck over the opponent and go in for the OTK. And they're also tuners, so if you're wanting to try out this deck build and you plan on synchro summoning, I recommend only going for level 7s.
Yeah.
Now for the spells, Book of Eclipse, Dark Ruler No More, and another Overload fusion. And in case if you're not fusion summoning hard enough, I just put this in there. Dark Ruler No More, just to negate all of those negations.
I hate that card.
It works well against his dinos.
Yeah, I'm gonna hate it until I end up getting it, and I'm like, oh, I love this card. I just don't like it when it's used against it.
Book of Eclipse, basically changing every monster on their side of the field face down. One key part to note here is that Ancient Gear Golem inflicts piercing battle damage whenever attacking a defense position monster. So if you activate this during your turn, and if your opponent has no negates on board, it's a pretty good game. And if you have this on the board, you basically won.
Yeah. I made that mistake one time going against my friend Psycho's Ancient Gear deck. I split my ABC Dragon Buster in 3 in defense mode, and then he told me about its effect. I'm like, I just lost.
I have 1 copy of Solemn Strike, 1 copy of Red Reboot, and 1 copy of Evenly Matched. Now, Evenly Matched is good against Altergeist. Red Reboot is also good against Altergeist, but it's also good against any back row heavy deck.
Yeah.
Solemn Strike,
Good against anything, really.
good against anything, really. Pay 1,500, no biggie.
Yeah.
Also, mind you that these two are little hand traps.
Yeah.
And the 2 copies of Dimensional Barrier. Now, since Master Rule 5 is coming out in April 1st, this is actually pretty good against decks that don't focus on link summoning. And used to be good back in like 2016 and later on, whenever people were actually running like Pendulum Magicians. One time I used this against a Pendulum player and he just scooped after that because he wasn't able to go into his extra deck monsters. And that's the side deck. That was the extra deck. And this is the main deck. This is a pure OTK build. It's not consistent, but whenever you do get the right hand, you're winning that game already while this guy is on the field. Alright, that was the deck review for today. Please like and subscribe and all that stuff, and I'll talk to you all later.